Hey YouTube, this is Rex. I'm Samuel.
I'm Rose.
Nikki.
And this is, I think,
What is this?
Do Your Eternity, episode 3
of season 2.
Of season 2. Whoa. So last time we left off, lots of generations have passed.
Yes, at least 2.
Maybe a little bit more than that, but yes.
Now we see a male descendant of Hayase.
The line.
The line, yeah.
Is that, I didn't remember to go back and check. Is that the current Hayase host or not?
I don't remember. But we did notice that
He didn't-
the huggy ones and the ones that were the true ones were little. They were always younger. Versus there was like older, younger.
Yeah, because the younger one, I guess, wanted to get to it as quickly as possible.
Right.
Yeah, so it's probable that this is the one that's going to have to bear the kid.
Yeah, so he needs to get a child, and that child will get the soul.
Yeah, so thinking about it from last time, I was wondering how that's going to work because the whole Hayase soul skipping thing, I just assumed it could go into any fetus, but it wouldn't really make much sense if any ghost could do that. So it kind of makes sense if it has to be of your line. So if it's a male now, is the plan get the female version of Fushi? Because I don't see how it can track otherwise.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll figure out in this episode, guys. Remember to hit the like button. Remember to hit the subscribe button. Also check out our Patreon in the description to see these episodes a whole week early, as well as the uncut version of these episodes. And also check out the description to see the link to our merch store. Hey, let's get into the show.
Discussion! Yeah, you know, the past couple episodes I was waiting for it to pick up steam again, and you know, this was pretty good. This was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
And I'm excited again.
Yes.
For Bonchen and all.
And Church Bennett.
Yeah.
Church and Bennett.
Did you catch the names of the other two? They said there were 3 warring factions.
Bill?
From Shania.
No, I didn't.
I'm sure they'll bring it up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in the very beginning, so he is the 6th successor, and if you go by standard, if you go by standard generational rules, 20 years is a generation. So it's at least been 120 years since the original anime girl died, but the Guardians have been around for 200 years.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know if maybe, I mean, obviously they could have been living longer for the 6th generation, so it could just be 200 years since Hayase, but I also don't put it past them to edit their own history a little bit. We've always been about Fushi, you know.
Yeah, especially with what they did to what's her name, Tonari's book.
Yes.
It's like, oh, the Guardians are painted rather favorably.
Yes.
Hated them.
It's quite an authoritative book.
Right.
And gee, I wonder how that happened.
Yeah. So they also talked about how basically religious wars are starting in this world, it seems. So they've got the Church of Bennett that sees Fushi as a heretic because, you know, yes, he does attract knockers wherever he goes, and he hasn't exactly offered a good explanation for this.
And he's not exactly saying, no, I'm not a god.
Yeah, and he's not exactly, like, going out of his way to fight them. Like, he fights them when he bumps into them.
Yeah. And I don't fully blame him for that because the black thing also kind of just ignores the whole religion question. He's just like, that's not something we deal with. He sees things as, oh, they declared a holy war on you? Well, I'm sure in 1,000 years it'll be gone. You know, he sees everything into the future.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so the Church of Bennett wants to get rid of him.
They were like, give him to me. Thank you for capturing. Oh, I must leave? Okay. I'm like, what's the plan here? Are they just like biding their time somewhere? Knowing that he'll probably try to run away or something like that, knowing where he is, like, okay, we can capture him easily.
Yeah.
Or are they planning to get violent afterwards?
Right, that's the other thing. Possibly. I mean, they have, you know, people who believe in them that are doing their dirty work, right? So
By extension, having someone else do something that's like, no, you came to us of your own volition. Like, they'll twist it in the end, but the means is something else.
Also, well, I guess this is skipping forward a bit, so I'll go back. So Fushi is like, I'll stick around, but I won't join you. So he's walking with the
Guardians.
He
the
joined
Guardians.
them, basically.
You joined them, basically. Yeah.
I don't understand how Fushi and also Tonari and Sandal are not like flat out pointing out to him, the Guardians are really not on your side.
Well, Tonari tried. When she met him and he didn't know who she was, it was like, you need to be careful of the Guardians, and then she was like, I heard you, or something like that, the little girl. So she started trying, but it just seems like doing it is dangerous or something, like when they're trying to like point out you should be careful of them.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
It does feel like people, both he acts like a very naive kid a lot of the time, but people also treat him like a naive kid. Like Tonari, she's a 40-year-old woman. She could have had a longer conversation at any point at the dinner table, but I understand maybe she had this whole setup. She didn't plan on getting poisoned, but Sandal himself, he could have said something too. I understand they don't want to talk about how, yeah, I'm your friend Sandal, and burden him with pain or whatever. Even though
That I understand.
I get that. But they could have been like, okay, so the world, the way it is right now, this is the direction it's heading, and you're really not helping the situation. It just, it does feel like there are characters who are intentionally obtuse.
Especially since like last season, at the end of last season, he was mentally 14.
Yeah.
Mentally, a 14-year-old can comprehend that he's being used.
Trusted. Yeah.
I mean, they've like straight up lied in front of him about like, oh, you belong to the whatchamacallit, you belong to the Guardians, and the Guardians are under, he's under the Guardians.
The wrong thing to tell the audience, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it's like, he is not human. So he does not have the lateral growth a human does. He learns about specific subjects at specific times, but they don't all increase at the same time.
Yeah.
So his world comprehension has never grown. Not very complex for him. So I think that's where he still is after 200 years, maybe. But at the same time, I do think the other characters around him have been very responsible in that respect, especially people like Perona, or is it Pioran? She should have had a bit more time to talk to him. She was the best at it at first. Remember, she talked about you need to have goals or ideals. People sometimes die for a reason. She could have had a lot more there, but she just did not.
Let's talk about, what's his name? Bunshin? Bunshin?
Yeah.
He can see dead people.
Yes. Or that's our assumption, which
It's so true.
100%.
So he's talking to March. He's scared of the giant bear.
Oh yeah, the bear.
That's why he was like, oh.
I was thinking it was Gugu, but I forgot the bear was there.
The bear is there. Yes. And they keep like trying to talk. So when he was like saying, when he was on the floor and kind of wailing against, they were like all trying to talk to him, basically.
Like, no, my G.
Yeah. It was so funny. He's totally talking to them.
100%.
Definitely.
And why he can see them, I think, here's my other theory, that he is the reborn Puran. I think you thought that.
Yes.
Yes. So possible, because
It's purple.
Purple.
Be of use.
What?
Be of use to Fushi.
Be of use to Fushi.
Yes.
A bridge between the worlds.
Yes, and the bridge. That's what I was gonna say, because she can see, or he can see the other world. Obviously, it makes sense that not normal.
And they give a big hint. They were like, "If I was an old friend of yours."
Yes.
Like, why did you say that?
Yes.
Yeah,
that moment entirely when Fushi was in the tent and was talking to the black coat, and then he came in. That whole line that he said, if I were an old friend, that's what I would say if I were an old friend of yours. What he said in that just sounded very out of character, just randomly at that point, and then he went back to normal. So I feel like that was like pure and seeping through.
Well, I was gonna bring up I think the personality is different because, like Black Coat Guy had mentioned, if you take on a different vessel, you yourself are going to be different. Yeah, you're going to be changed as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we have tasty peaches.
Yes.
I wonder if it had this whole seeing the ghost thing has to do with his father's decision to not let him be king. Because honestly, despite being flamboyant and extremely terrified at random instances, which is a huge negative, he seems to be fairly competent.
Yeah,
he is.
And apparently the people love him.
Yeah. They love him. Yeah, and he sniped Fushi out of the air. You know how hard that is?
Yes.
Like a boomerang?
Yes.
So he knows what to do.
And he can sense Fushi also. That's the other thing.
He can?
Yeah, because when they went out looking for him, and then he was as a mole, and he just went, I got you, and squeezed and held him, and didn't let him go. Yeah. And then knew immediately when he jumped out of the window. I think he can sense him.
I wonder if maybe the king knows that he's got these special abilities, or like he's meant for something else.
Maybe. And it's like you're not supposed to be king. You're supposed to go off on journeys with Fushi.
Yeah, maybe like that.
Maybe
it would kind of lean into the whole this short, small, weird, funny king, but there's more to him.
Yes.
There's a reason why he's the king.
Yes.
Or maybe the king knows that Bonchan wants to own. His goal is to help Fushi. So it's like you want to take on the whole kingdom in order to help this one person.
Yeah. No bueno.
No bueno.
Yeah, and also, so Earl is this weird kingdom living in a fissure in the ground.
Yeah.
That certainly won't be a problem one day.
No.
So they have the largest military force we've seen thus far, so that's pretty impressive.
Yes. And I think they beat out the Guardians in, maybe not in numbers, but in, like, strength versus numbers.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. The Guardians have a lot of influence, but these guys just have raw military might.
Yes.
Yeah, because like Fushi said, a lot of the people who were willing to fight the Knockers were just regular people.
Yeah.
Which the Guardians apparently don't care about. Fushi, another red flag.
Fushi just...
Yeah.
At least we did get one moment of clarity, the fact that they stole the book off him. You know, that's at least one thing.
Yeah.
That he can realize, okay, I can't trust these people as much as I thought.
Yeah. And that reminded me of comments we had last week. I forgot to tell you about it. I just thought it was funny. Someone was saying, as someone who's seen this whole thing, at the end of the day, you just have to recognize the fact that Fushi, while he is well-meaning and while he does learn, he's just as thick as a brick.
Oh, yeah.
I did tell you?
No, I saw the comment.
Okay.
Just that part.
I guess it's natural then. It's just okay.
That's just how
He's not gonna be suddenly like the 1,000-year-old man who's really smart, which is what I was expecting him to like grow into.
Eventually.
He's just dumb.
And I think the reason, if we think about it, Fushi does not develop like a normal human.
No.
Just the spending years being a human, he doesn't like use which I don't understand. Like he has a brain that if he was a child, like he was stayed as March, for example, and he just kept growing, technically he should develop better faculties of how to handle and understand the world and world concepts. But that doesn't seem to happen.
Yeah, I think it would have happened in that 40-year time period that he was on the island, but he stayed on the island isolated. Like he has it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say he has the ability to grow and experience things, but when he has that opportunity for growth, he's not really in a place that will benefit him. But he, like, remember that whole mirror conversation we had in, like, season 1? I think that still stays true in that he adapts and learns via osmosis and being around other people or seeing things. That thing we saw at the end where he got stimulation from that guy from the speech.
Yes.
He's not getting that on his own, even if he's alive for a long time.
Yeah, you're right. And we also see another time when he was alive for a long time, reading books, mind you.
Like 100 years in the city.
In the city, growing up, and it still did nothing.
Not that much.
Because reading the books it wasn't like enough stimulation, I guess, to change him, and he didn't find anything that was, mind blowing. So
yeah, maybe in the next couple episodes something will come up.
Maybe, I hope so. All that time. Please tell me all that time was worth something. Like he didn't just give the Knockers time to get better and the Guardians time to take over the minds of the people.
Maybe he'll make water.
That's the end goal for real. Were you gonna say something?
No, I finished.
Okay. So they're talking about Janata and how the 3 warring factions run Janata. So Janata itself seems to have spread influence with the churches and all that. Because when we first went to Janata, the kids were showing them how there were the 3 churches that were dilapidated, and now they're back into being. It's just interesting to see that not only has this island of rejects flipped around and become something respectable, they've exerted their influence across the sea.
I just remember one other church's name was Mojo.
Mojo.
Yeah.
Mojo Jojo.
Mojo. But yeah. And it also, you imagine like the years ago at Janata, when they come to Janata and convince half the people to follow them, they just decide, okay, let's go with Janata's flag because they were a blessed people. They really believed it. They believed it. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, so this is just an aside. Someone was telling us last episode, which would be the one before this one, that there's a new studio that's doing this season. So that's why there's a lot of little things that are different. For instance, may be the whole talking mouth thing. That may be why the visual effects for the pain and stuff is more prevalent than before. Because I think someone said that stuff was always in the manga, but they never brought it up as much. So just little things like that are just artistic changes that don't have a huge impact on the story.
speaking of the artistic stuff, we see the artistic stuff because Kohaku is in love with Panora.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I tried to forget about that one. But he also has competition now because this purple-haired Bonshin also likes how Panora looks. Although he doesn't really like go into it like it's just like, oh, you're pretty to look at, stay in that form kind of thing.
It seems more of just appreciation of the beauty thing, because love Bubbles didn't.
No, yeah, that's true. You knew it was gonna happen though, right?
Yeah, it was,
He's gonna fall in love with one of the girls.
it was pretty twisted that Kohaku is in love with the person his ancestor directly killed, though.
Yeah.
His previous reincarnation.
Yeah.
But
I guess he wouldn't know because he doesn't have that memory, really.
No.
Well, that and the histories are twisted.
Yeah.
And I think that comes back to what Fushi kind of realized earlier in the episode, is that these people aren't inherently bad. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's trying to help.
Yeah.
It is kind of odd to just... I mean, you know that this is just an immortal being that can change bodies. Like, that's not actually the body, you know? I don't see Fushi falling in love with Kohaku.
No.
I don't think he has any interest in romance whatsoever.
Yeah.
No.
But at the same time, it will present a predicament because they didn't explain it. How do they plan on continuing the line of Hayase?
Yeah.
Like, can he just get married to somebody, have a kid, and the soul swapping can still happen? Can that still happen?
I'm thinking possibly, or maybe it is like, oh no, we had a boy and there's no female descendant. Oh no, this is our last chance. It could be. Or it could be that, because I mean, before the girls were having children with random men we didn't know about.
Yeah.
So the DNA itself is, I think, the main thing, and his DNA is Hayase's, and that's what they're trying to pass down. So it might still work.
It might still work. I guess I was just thinking that there's something special about the fact that the Hayase line was carrying the child or something about that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I can't imagine it would be so unceremonious for it to just end like that. So something has to come up. Yeah. So Banshin though, so they're talking about making friends. I think Banshin is going to be that friend, and like Kohaku.
Kahaku or Kohaku? Is it an O or an A?
We can say sixth Hayase.
Sixth Hayase. I think that perhaps he was the red herring. Like, he's not actually... Maybe he wants to be the friend and he wants to get close to Fushi, but it's just not going to happen. There's a lot of distrust there between the Hayase line and Fushi himself. And also, Banshin just genuinely wants to help, whereas as much as Sixth guy likes the female version, he has an agenda where he wants to help the Guardians.
Yeah.
Remember when he was like, we can't let our Fushi, like, no, he's still thinking of that possessive mindset.
Yes.
I will never trust them.
Never.
As soon as, what's her name? Hisame, the little one. As soon as she was like, hey, you want some black cubes?
Oh, yes.
With a giant smile on her face.
Yes. It's like never to be trusted.
No, that smile is evil.
But I think that's it though.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you guys very much for being here. Guys, if you like your time here, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Remember, you can see the next episode of this or anything else that we do a whole week ahead if you check that Patreon out down below, as well as the merch store if you want to get stuff that we're wearing, or the Night City collection. So thank you very much. We'll see you in the city. Goodbye.
Bye. Oh, bye.
A special thanks to our patrons, Arminius, Cubook, SpongeBob's Wrath, and Hound of the Red Plains.